Hey, everybody. Welcome to Under the Radar, episode number 10, double digits episode. Here we are, number 10. I'm Jay Yoder, calling out of Lindsay, California, with your co-host, Juan Nunez. Cesar Gracie black belt, calling out of Caracas, Venezuela. Hit up Juan if you want some training. Just leave us a comment below or DM. You can find him on Instagram. But it's a great day today. Good weather where I'm at in Lindsay, California. How about you, Juan? How's the weather over there?
Weather be, man. Weather be working away, man. Amazing. Canada, there is no complaint about it, man. It's been a busy week. Ready to kick off the chapter 10, which is a.
Well, let's do it.
Okay. Way to do it. Bring it.
All right, we're gonna start off with talking about Francis Ngannou versus Stipe, number 2. Cover a little the fight before that. This will be their second fight, and that is UFC 260, which is March 27th. And then we're going to talk a little about Clarissa Shields and PFL boxing, golden Olympian, coming into MMA. I'm very excited to talk about her. I'm very excited to see her fight in MMA, transitioning from boxing. Then we're going to jump into Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. And then we're going to go into Yoel Romero versus Anthony Rumble Johnson for the Bellator light heavyweight tournament coming up, which is very exciting. Then we'll jump into the move of the week with Juan Nunez here, breaking it down for us. And then we're going to talk about Ashley Yoder versus Angela Hill and Andrea Lee versus Antonio Cervenko. So let's get it started. Let's jump into Francis Ngannou versus Stipe, number 2. Let's I don't know. You saw the first fight, right, Juan?
I did. The first fight was definitely a chess match. Stipe Miocic set up the boundary and set up a statement just by utilizing the wrestling aspect. And no one understands true ethics like a heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic do. He understands how to compete against his adversaries and outsmart them every time. The only time he struggled was the first time he competed against Daniel Cormier. They were doing like a palming in and they stopped in the wrestling clinch, and that was the difference. Cormier understand the steps of the difference wrestling clinch, and definitely that was the moment to set up a overhand right. However, we're talking about Francis. We're talking about unbelievable knockout power. We're talking the precision of the left hooks and the right uppercuts. It's going to be definitely a great heavyweight match. And if Stipe Miocic set up the takedowns and start working on switching position, he might be able to walk away with the win.
Yeah, the first fight, I rewatched it last night. Forgot how awesome that first round is, how exciting it was. Second round as well. Francis Ngannou, he's kind of like a, in the sense of you got to weather the storm with these guys. Stipe has to weather the storm in Ngannou, and if we get past that, he's probably going to be okay, at least for the first fight. It's kind of like a Brock Lesnar. He's going to come in heavy and then hopefully wear him out, kind of like Cain Velasquez did to him. Ngannou, very strong, great hooks. He does have that right uppercut, that especially if Stipe is going for a takedown, he has to watch out. But Stipe Miocic, the technique was beautiful in the first fight. He weathered the storm and then he started picking apart. Ngannou blew his load, excuse my French, in the first round, and had an adrenaline dump. And then third round, fourth round, fifth round, he was flat-footed. But you got to give it to Ngannou. He doesn't have as much championship round experience like Stipe. He stayed in there, man. He stayed in there. He did not give up, and he was dead the third round. He was exhausted, and he stayed in there. So that shows his heart. I'm hoping Ngannou pulls it through. I'm rooting for Ngannou because of his life story. I think it's amazing. I think he hopefully has taken lessons from this and has trained the defense in wrestling, which he did in the first round. He did defend one of Stipe's takedowns, not so much for technique, but more strength. But Stipe is always dangerous. He sets up the takedowns beautifully off the punches, and he grabs the leg, and he doesn't just stop. He marches through. He keeps going to all the way to the fence. He doesn't give up, and he'll switch to a knee tap, whatever he needs to do. So I don't know. It's a very exciting fight. Man, do you got I know you're not big for predictions, but what do you got? And what do you think about Stipe and his takedowns in the first round?
Well, I already said it. I believe that Stipe might be able to walk away with the decision. He definitely need to be under the radar if he want to excel at championship level. You
Yeah.
know, understanding why he definitely boxing is not an option. Don't trade punches toe to toe with Francis. Unbelievable knockout power. So set up your shots. Set up a wrestling camp and you understand. Maybe set up like one or maybe a good punch and then set up the shots. Inside low kicks, perhaps it could be calf kicks. Um, about the first fight, it was very very boring fight. It was no fun on it. It was just Stipe imposing his technique with the wrestling, and it was total domination. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Once that first round was over, Stipe took control. Even the end of the first round, he started connecting some shots, but Ngannou was so exhausted. Even when he was on the ground, he just laid there, man, and would try to get to all fours. He wouldn't really get a half guard or work anything. But I'm really hoping to see some strong wrestling out of Ngannou, a better wrestling pedigree. Stipe's got a great wrestling pedigree, so it's gonna be hard to beat. But he can stuff some takedowns, and not go so hard in the first round, and really understand it's gonna be a 5-round fight. I'm excited to see where it goes. Francis Ngannou, give a little background. He's 15 wins, 3 losses. He's on a 4-fight win streak, Juan. All KOs in the first round. And that's against Rozenstruik, JDS, Cain Velasquez, and Curtis Blades. So that's pretty exciting, but that's all cool until you meet Stipe. Stipe, 20 wins, 3 losses. He's won 2 or 3 of his last 3 fights have been, and I think this is a disadvantage, Juan. His last 3 fights have been against DC. So he's fought 1 fighter for 3 fights. I wonder if that will hurt him, because sometimes you get different guys, you mix it up. He knows how to beat DC. He knows how to train for DC. But then again, DC's so well-rounded and Ngannou's not, so it could be interesting. But Stipe wins over JDS, Overeem, Verdum, and Mark Hunt. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that matters that Stipe's fought DC last 3 fights, or DC's so good it doesn't really matter?
Definitely, it brings a different narrative, and it plays a different avenue. I definitely believe since the first time they competed, Francis competed against a way tougher competition, and bringing different, yelling different results. Simple, it's just a more competitive. However, he still lost the fight, even though it was a decision. And definitely, Daniel Cormier, he's entitled to have his own opinion on the matter of who is the better knockout, who possessed the greatest knockout power in the heavyweight division. He believed that Derek Lewis is the man, just because he just got the uppercut knocked out. Hey, it's something that make everyone reflect. Everyone need to think about it, because it's coming from someone that understand the competition and competed against many different athletes in that division. We're talking about heavyweights. So I still believe Francis is a threat. However, if I gotta choose a winner, I believe Stipe is gonna walk away with a win.
Oh yeah, I believe Derek Lewis and Ngannou fought, right? And Derek Lewis won. I'm not 100% on that. Don't quote me.
I believe they haven't competed yet. I wouldn't know about it. That's a must watch competition. For coaches and the sports. Moving on.
Well, I mean, just to give Derek Lewis a little shout out, I can't believe, he beat my boy Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades had a wonderful fight, and, like Ngannou, it could end all in one punch, and it definitely did. But let me pull up Derek Lewis's record here. I might be tripping. Yeah, Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou did fight in July 2018. And Derek Lewis won via decision, 3-round decision. So it kind of does show you who does have the stronger power, who's the stronger fighter. But Derek Lewis did use that little uppercut that Ngannou likes to use to get Curtis Blade. So they're very similar in that way.
Definitely. I mean, Derek Lewis, I would say for someone to be a veteran in the game, being around away, I was talking about Clarissa Shields. She have the same small issue that many different female athletes have. They are really good at striking. Derek Lewis could stuff a few takedowns before setting up the power shot. However, it was a perfection of the technique. Timing a uppercut is definitely really difficult to achieve. It's like getting a jumping flying knee on someone. Usually the way we were learning, with through Gilbert Melendez and Jake, it was stop the takedown. Make sure that the head kick, block head kick, you're there, but don't bring an uppercut right off the gate or bring it in. But hey, the game is constantly evolving.
Yep.
It's all about perfection,
progression. Well, since you brought Clarissa Shields, let's jump into that for our next subject. Clarissa Shields, I didn't last week. I missed Clarissa Shields on my radar. There's so many fighters to watch, and especially come from boxing. I don't keep up with boxing too much, and definitely not female boxing. But I like Clarissa Shields. I'm a big fan now. I've done my homework. Clarissa Shields, the fact that she's a great boxer, Olympic champ, comes into MMA and starts as white belt jiu-jitsu, starts with kickboxing, no nothing. And to see her really, because some people have egos. You've seen it in the gym, I'm sure, where maybe a very good Muay Thai guy avoids the jiu-jitsu class because he doesn't want to start from the ground again. He's already this recognized Muay Thai guy. He does jiu-jitsu, gets whipped by white belts, and it messes his ego. And the best thing is just get in there and get it over with, spend the time in there. And I think Clarissa Shields, I don't know how long she is. I think I saw a video about a year ago. She was doing some jiu-jitsu. And her kicks, I see some video of her training kicks. Her kicks are looking pretty good. Not amazing, but they're looking pretty good for someone new to it. And she's got the great boxing. I saw she called out mentioned a while back that Amanda Nunez, they say she's the best boxer in the UFC. And she said, that's a joke. That's offensive to me. A 2-time golden championship and the Olympics, I believe. But I don't know. Excited for Clarissa Shields. What do you think? You think she's got what it takes to make it?
I believe if she wins her boxing match, which is coming up, I believe in a week from now, or somewhere down the line, she could call out Amanda for a boxing match, and it would be nice for the sport to do something like Mayweather did, bringing McGregor with the belt, and Clarissa could bring Amanda with the belt, and then they step in the middle, and I believe Clarissa could have a really good performance, excel her, do something like Bernard Hopkins did to Trinidad in 2001. Just utilize the adversary and stay till the last round, and then 1 minute, 2 minutes left.
So she's having a boxing match, so she's not signed up for an MMA match. She's signed up, so I didn't do my homework good enough. She's got a boxing match coming up, and then she's gonna go MMA, or who knows?
She was live yesterday on her social media, and she said she already lined up to do a boxing match, and then she have a MMA contract coming up in March.
The PFL, right? The Professional Fighters League.
That's right. Yeah. So she have definitely a lot of work to do.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see her fight. I like her attitude, man. I really like her attitude. Seeing her train jiu-jitsu and her eyes are big, and she's like, "How you do that? How'd you do that arm drag? And just see the excitement. It's like, man, it's like walking into the jiu-jitsu gym the first day. And I kind of imagine Mayweather doing that, going into jiu-jitsu class first day and just being like so excited like a little kid. I see him still being like a little like, don't touch me. I'm a boxer, but I don't know. So excited to see Clarissa Shields. Let's move on to, we got Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. Very exciting fight. That's at UFC Fight Night. Brunson versus Holland. That's March 20th. Derek Brunson is 21-7, 21 wins, 7 losses. He's on a 3-fight win streak. 2 of those a decision, 1 KO. Kevin Holland's 21 wins with 5 losses. He's on a 5-fight win streak. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. He's got, in those 5 fights, 3 knockouts, 1 decision, and 1 sub. What are your thoughts on Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland?
Man, Kevin Holland is bringing attention to the division, and then playing half guard to set up power shots is something that no one ever done it before. He could even write a book about it. How to knock out a jiu-jitsu master with a left hook from half guard.
Yeah.
However, we need to see how Brunson brings to the table. He definitely brings some inside leg kicks, really powerful. How can he place those and start identifying then when could be the proper time to set up the difference, and then place a calf kick as well.
Yeah, Kevin Holland, he's got that, the it factor. He, like you said, he's bringing the spotlight on this division, and he's a very exciting guy. He was on Joe Rogan's MMA podcast this past week, I believe, or maybe last week. But he's very funny. Kind of likes to talk trash to people. I guess he gets on Instagram and talk trash, but he does it in like a funny, friendly way. Very smart fighter, very clever, very relaxed, and he's kind of like you were saying, the game's constantly evolving. I think he's someone to evolve it. Sticky stand-up with his kung fu background, really mixes it up, and he has that KO power. I like it, man. I like watching him fight. Like you said, he could have wrote a whole seminar on half-guard knockouts, but against a legend too. But he's fun, he's exciting, but he looks so relaxed in there. He looks like he's having a good time, like he's sparring or like it's first day at the gym again, like I say. He looks just very relaxed to me, where I forget the fighter he fought that he knocked out, which is so stiff and angry. And I like him, man. I'm excited to watch him. And Derek Brunson, no joke either. Derek Brunson, great KO power, 11 wins by knockout, very aggressive. Looks for the KO. He's got that head kick power, and very, very aggressive guy. But I think Kevin Holland's got a lot more offensive tools in his tool belt, plus submissions, to go after Derek Brunson. But Derek Brunson, he finds the punches in the weird angles. He just kind of loops them in. But, what are your thoughts on that one?
I like the veteran. I mean, Brunson. I still, like someone like Eddie Bravo, which he got a triangle on Yoder Gracie. He write a book. Holland getting a left hook, right hook from half guard. Knocked out, write a book about it, but business-wise, creating like it plays a marketing mindset. Everything we do with mixed martial arts, action, results. Who the hell was gonna think like a Rodolfo Vieira was gonna be submitted by a blue belt in a freaking UFC fight? So we need to understand that we live in a weird time. Sometimes just getting that submission instead the TKO win could be an avenue to set up bonus, for different athletes. However, I'm going to stay away. I do not want to come out with the prediction on this specific battle coming up.
You already messed up. You said the veteran. You already said the veteran. I'm guessing that's.
I did.
No, I like Kevin Holland. Derek Brunson, it could go any way, especially with like Kevin Holland. He's still got a long ways to go before we could give an accurate prediction. But, Derek Brunson, he has a 45% striking accuracy against Holland, who has a 64% striking accuracy. Derek Brunson has a 27% grappling accuracy versus Kevin Holland, who has a 67% grappling accuracy. But you're looking at your grappling accuracy back there, but that's MMA math. A lot of the times it's hard to take the numbers down because anything could happen in the fight. But I'm going Kevin Holland with more offensive attacks to his name over Brunson. That's my opinion.
Hey, It's a valuable point of view, and I said you're bringing a competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
and definitely, I definitely make people critical thinking about it. You know.
Yeah, and like I say, I always pick the loser. So don't listen to this and bet what I say. But I've been doing okay, I think, over this podcast. I haven't really been keeping up too much with it. But that being said, let's jump into the Bellator light heavyweight tournament going on. We're going to focus on Yoel Romero versus Anthony Rumble Johnson, which is two very powerful guys going at it. But just to give some breakdown on the actual light heavyweight World Grand Prix for Bellator, first off, Anthony Rumble Johnson for Yoel Romero is April 16th. Check that out. The semifinals of the tournament will be in July, and then the final matchup will be in October. But you have first rounds, you got Ryan Bader versus Loyola Machida. You got, my eyes are bad here. I'm going to mess up some of these names. Vadim Amokov, I messed that up, against Phil Davis. You got A. Johnson versus Romero, which I already mentioned. You got Corey Anderson versus, here's another one, Yagis Murvadov. Help me out anytime, Juan, if you know these. But it's good. I'm excited for this fight. What do you think? What do you think about this? Yoel Romero versus Rumble Johnson. Rumble Johnson coming out of retirement.
I believe Bellator are doing a great job at catching up with the marketing, with the competition that they are setting up, and I believe Ryan Bader, Yoder Machida, they still bring the competitive situation. Setting up middle kicks, coming out with the left hook, and then moving away, off the shoulder bump. It's always creating a formula to remain competitive. They understand that martial arts is not only the competition aspect. We compete in a cage, professional fights. It means to a lot of sacrifice. There is a lot of sacrifice, and every time the technique must come from the ball of your feet. Every time you place the ball of your feet, you set up your proper movement. And Machida also, he could execute different katas forms, like a cross block, short hour block, long hour block, short inward block, that, and then block with the forearms. Stay competitive with the defense. I believe Yoel Romero takedowns are definitely a threat. I hope he utilized the wrestling, because he definitely could be damaged by freaking Rumble if the wrestling is not utilized right.
Yeah, we all know that Rumble Johnson has a weakness, and that's wrestling. DC, 2 losses to him, being taken down the rear naked choke. One, he just was kind of not into it. You could tell he just kind of was tired or whatever. But Yoel Romero, very well rounded, could stand and be on the ground. But Anthony Rumble Johnson, he's powerful if he connects. That's good. Let's give a little background. Yoel Romero, 13-5. He's 43 years young. I hate to say he's 43 years old, because he still moves like he's probably younger than me, like 30 or 27 or something like that. He's coming off a 3-fight losing streak in the UFC before he goes into Bellator. Although he did have that decision versus Adesanya, which just shows, Adesanya is a very good fighter and gave him a lot of respect during that fight. So I don't know if that loss is really a loss, but he has wins over Luke Rockhold, Weidman, Souza, Jacare Souza, Loyola Machida, and Derek Brunson. Loyola Machida in this tournament, so he's already got a win over him. Very strong, great KO power. Yeah, like I said, 43, but moves like he's young. Anthony Rumble Johnson, a little background on him, 22 wins, 6 losses, 16 knockouts out of a career 22 fights. That's his game. So last fight in April 8th, 2017 for the title against DC. And like I said, the loss versus rear naked choke. His weakness is that wrestling. Great KOs, very powerful. He's very fast, also like Romero. And he has wins over Glover Teixeira, Ryan Bader, Phil Davis, and Alexander Gustafsson. just like Romero, he's in this tournament. He has beaten some of these guys, Phil Davis and Ryan Bader, who are in this tournament. He does have victories over. So it's gonna be an exciting match. Some Loyola Machida and Ryan Bader definitely want those rematches. And then you got Phil Davis in the mix. Phil Davis, never count him out, especially with strong wrestling. Because let's say Rumble Johnson does get past Romero, although I'm favoring Romero for this fight. He's got to go against Davis, who's a very well-known wrestler. So it's going to be a harder path for Rumble Johnson to the finals than it is Romero, in my opinion.
It's going to be a great tournament. We are going to expect fireworks. Definitely, I'm going to tune in, and it is difficult to count Ryan Bader out because of the great performance he had at the heavyweight bracket in Bellator.
Yeah, and I love tournaments. They get me excited. I'm looking at the tournament picture right now. I remember Pride doing the Grand Prix, and they're always exciting to me. And then go old school when the tournament was all on the same day. But yeah, I love tournaments. I just think they're very exciting because it's kind of like a college basketball setup where you kind of can root a fighter on in multiple fights instead of just one. Very excited for that. But again, that's April 16th. Check out that from Bellator on Showtime. Juan, let's jump into the move of the week. Got Cesar Gracie, Black Belt Juan Nunez move of the week breakdown coming up.
For this specific situation, I was just getting ready for an MMA match. However, the same day, the management switched the rule set. The California State Athletic Commission has ended up setting up a multi competition. I was shoveling some concrete in the leading up for the preparation of the fight. I was doing a lot of putting the concrete. I was doing a lot of sweeping, just for strength in the forearms. Leading up with the swimming, the jogging. Even I was playing a little bit with the wood. Having my lady at the time, she was helping me out. She was holding the wood, and I was doing with the two knuckles, utilizing the shoulder, coming from the ball of my feet. Gently just placing the shoulder rotation, the hips control of the setting up a legit cross. Without having your forearms and your bicep, extra motion, just the right motion to set up a cross. So I understand that it is a lot of precision to set up the knockout shots.
Was this the first round one?
It was the first round. That's right.
Nice, got the knockout in the first round. Congrats on that. He's it says on his tell the tape that he's a kickboxer, but he didn't look like he knew what to do when he connected the 1-2, and they came around with the right hand again.
He's a Russian athlete. He was training with the American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, only with the striking in 2008. And then when we match up, it was gonna be the MMA, but the commission switched up to multi, and I didn't even make any money on the fight. Everything I did was through a sponsorship. Everything was done. I got a lot of profits. Through. It was Detron at the time. I was getting nice gear, boxing glove, and a few gear for training, like a really nice vertex shin pads, nice helmet. Everything was great. However, the precision you see in the video we can see was the right hand did everything. And thank you, man. For the chance to break it down, to come out with the 5 different reasons how to train your cross, 5 different reasons to promote, the skill set, the distance management, the utilizing the footwork, and be able to have a strong, midsection and coming out with the hamstrings and calf, utilizing the swimming, and adjusting, always having 1 or 2 days off, just utilizing the isometrics, calisthenics with not too much weight, just the proper plank, recovery. I'm always focused more on my recovery than anything else.
Now, Juan, I know this fight, I believe, was 2008. Do you remember if you could remember your game plan going in the fight? I mean, I know how awful that is, especially with commission switching on the last minute. Oh, it's MMA fight now. It's a MMA fight or a kickboxing fight. I had it where they told me right before my fight that it was going to be a grappling match. And I said, what the hell? And then I said I didn't sign up for that. And then they switched it last second to MMA fight when I told them I wouldn't compete unless it was MMA. But so do you remember with these changing rules, I'm sure you had more of an MMA game plan. Do you remember how you switched up that game plan to kickboxing, or did you even have one?
You understand that I am a Jiu-Jitsu athlete.
Yeah.
And I do have more than 100 competition in the Jiu-Jitsu field.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
About so much competition, and I was doing a lot of clinch work. I took during the fight with this guy, Ace. I was in the clinch, and I was stronger in the clinch through the wrestling, but he was better at multi-clinch. He was better than I. And I still, no, it was fucking 13 years ago, but, I remember that he was landing excellent knees on my ribs with a lot of power during the clinch, and I was doing the wrestling, pulling in. I didn't even try a takedown because I want to be on point with the rule system, and definitely clinch, multi-clinch is different. However, I still would rather do wrestling all day if we're talking about how to fight in the clinch. But remember that I wasn't allowed to execute any kind of takedown.
Now, when you went in though, did you have a game plan like, hey, I'm going to work off my jab, or or do you go in like, hey, let's see what he does and let's just play it how it goes?
Yeah, and it was I was having a cast in my left arm like 2 weeks before the fight.
Oh, shit.
I was like for a couple months I was with a cast in my left arm. And because one of my teammates at the gym, Giovanni Encarnacion, he's a guy from Puerto Rico. He came out riding with a knee on my forearm, and then it was fractured. And I was 6 weeks with a stupid cast, but I was working a lot my right. I was working, and then I was still at the gym with stupid cast, but
you're a fighter, Juan.
That's right. They took it out, and the doctor, she said I was. I have to play smart, and then I just listened to her what she said, and then get a hold of Leticia, which is she and Justina, and Jen. Those 3 ladies were in charge of the list at the moment, and then they set up with the commission, the Mr. Weatherby, and then everyone was ready to see me compete,
Yeah, that's a great subject to talk about. It's a huge part of fighting is that you're going to fight injured. Like if you think you're not going to fight injured, that's impossible in the sport. Yeah, like my little MMA match I had, like I said, they tried to switch to grappling. I had a pulled growing, and my whole game plan was to do jiu-jitsu the whole match. Then in my growing, I pulled it. I kept re-pulling it every time training. So I said, well, fuck, I got to do stand-up now. And it sounds like it worked out for you. You had that cast on your left arm, but you practiced the right, and then you got the knockout with the right. So congrats on that.
Yeah, he kicked me twice in the arm, and I was concerned. Like I was like, I better get it done in the first, otherwise it's gonna be hectic. And then I was working with a Third Street boxing gym in San Francisco with a Filipino guy. His name is Luisito Espinosa. We can definitely talk about it. I'm gonna send you afterwards his techniques. He taught throw four straight punches, then do a step back with your right feet, and then throw across. And the technique I applied during the fight. Instead of doing four, I just working with only one punch. However, four punches is the drill, and then we do two during the fight.
Yeah.
And then boom, boom, step back, boom, set up a power shot with the precision that we need to break down everything and put everything on place. It plays a part.
And then, 13 years later, how's that left arm?
It's perfect now. The muscles that I built up in my forearms through wrestling, deadlift, clinch, squats. The arms are stronger than the swimming. Also, those exercises, even by walking a little bit, a plank, all the punching bag, the wrestling, everything is beneficial. Thigh pads, man, that makes your arms really the fiber inside, the moral fiber of the situation. Everything you want to do, just set up your day and then work on your day, and then you see at the end of the month, you did your job.
Yeah, kind of going back to you were talking about training and setting up the power punch, do like 1-2 and then really set it up. It also makes me think about like some boxers I've talked about knockouts. I believe Tyson said, a knockout is two punches that sound like one. So what he means is when you're on the bag and you go tap tap, but it goes tap tap, like it needs to sound like one punch, two punches at the same time. And then another great quote, I forget who said this, was that the knockout is the punch you don't see coming. It's the one that's hidden, kind of like you said, set up the punches and power. So a lot of people, try to throw that power punch right off the bat, but they got to set it up, just like you did on this fight.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on, man. I remember I was taught since I was little, from the very beginners coaches I ever had. They always remind me, and they taught it that way. Yeah, utilize the ball of your feet, and that's the way how I also teach. If I have to teach or point out to someone that I'm dropping some knowledge, that's one of the things I want to tell them. Utilize the ball of your feet and utilize the footwork.
Great. Well, Juan, do you got anything else to say about this move of the week?
Let's wrap it up, brother.
Awesome. Well, thanks again to Cesar Gracie Black Belt with what I found out news today, over 100 matches in Jiu-Jitsu. But thanks again, Juan Nunez, for this move of the week for episode number 10.
Nice, man. I was gonna talk about like it affects everyone differently. Be able to, because you and I need to be honest when we talk about combat sports. I still don't buy the hype of an amazing, great boxer, which I do have a lot of admiration for people like the executioner, the Bernard Hopkins, Cassius Clays, the things that they say, at the time. But I believe the wrestling aspect, a good Chael Sonnen prime time, he could blast a tackle on a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Yep. And then do some work on the ground and pound, all whatever nice guy, whatever bad guy, speaking fluently, in all fairness, man, Chael Sonnen would be the shit out of really good boxers, one-dimensional, talking about the style of wrestling that you bring to the table, the execution of be smart with the dog under, be smart with the snap downs, and set up your shots.
Well, I totally agree with you. I think I'm becoming more and more of a boxing fan. A person I live with, he's huge into boxing. So my cousin, basically, he shows me all the boxing matches. We got Canelo coming up. He's all excited for it. But the thing I've always thought about, basically what you said, Juan, you said the history of the UFC. The whole thing about the UFC to see what style works best. And we learned that a combination of certain styles are the best for fighting. Now, if you're a Mayweather, you're one of the best boxers in the world, but you're the best boxer. In my opinion, you're not the best fighter, because I could take a high school wrestler from this high school right here, small town, and he might take you down in a second if you don't get a punch on him, especially if you're Mayweather, you're not known for knockouts. So if a kid could beat you, how can you be the greatest fighter in the world? Now, I'm not saying that could happen. I'm not saying it would happen, but I'm saying the possibilities are very high, because a wrestling kid, he knows a great takedown. Mayweather doesn't know any defenses. He might, I doubt it, but like, it's over. So if you have a badass MMA fighter, like the best, I don't know who that is. We got a bunch of people who could say, and then what's a boxing kid going to do to him? What's a wrestling kid going to do to him? They might do something, but this guy's got an answer for every level. So I agree with you 100% that you could be the best boxer in the world, but you're not the best fighter unless you're in the MMA. That's my opinion.
Totally. Wrestling have to be there. I mean, wrestling always with the inside trips, pulling the arm and then coming around, grabbing the leg, be caught in the angles, chasing somehow, and ultimately it brings out the best out of athletes, the hamstring, the balance, be able to wear wrestling shoes and stay engaged with the takedown, get a single leg. You don't come out with the boxing only because we need to shut down the boxing, on the reality situation. We're talking about business do MMA, do boxing, stay on boxing, and that's a sport that you barely understand. Do it.
Yeah, if
We're
you
gonna talk about
sorry, go ahead.
Business aside and all that aside, that's the situation.
Yeah, if you want to do the math on this conversation, watch James Toney, ex-boxing champ, fight Randy Couture and see how that fight went. And then watch Conor McGregor, an MMA fighter, not a boxer. He has some boxing training, but going to fight Mayweather, the greatest boxing champ of all time, in great shape on the top of the mountain, and then see how that fight ends. Well, they both lost, but Conor Conor did a lot better. James Toney was just, although he was kind of older and probably not in the best shape, but it was just one ankle pick by Randy Couture, and then he was choked out, done. There was no conflict. It was like a baby. All right, no disrespect. Right. Tony would whip my ass, but Randy Couture could do whatever he wanted, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like a Couture, wise guy. The brain behind everything. Low single. Okay, Quinton Jackson was the bad guy. Quinton Jackson was the guy who said, "I want to bring James Toney and I want to trade punches toe to toe with James Toney in the middle of the cage." And then the UFC didn't buy it. They said Toney, they finished the contract right after Couture fight. However, that was the attitude that Quinton Jackson was bringing to the table. He want to make a statement every time he stepped in the cage, and that's the difference. The marketing wise, Couture is the wrestler, the athlete. I'm the athlete running for the States, and I want to do great at the Olympics. I want to do great at whatever. And he never brought the fighter situation on it. He was more conservative ground and pounder.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then let's just put it, Mayweather is 50-0 in boxing, 50 wins, 0 losses. That has never even came close in MMA because there's so many variables. There's so many things that could go wrong in a fight. You could be the best fighter in MMA and you could get caught with a hand, you could get armbarred. There's just so many different types of fighters out there. Can you imagine a champ in UFC 50-0? It won't happen because the sport, in my opinion, is just a tougher sport. It's just tougher.
That's true, and on the situation, on the contrary, Clarissa Shields, she's definitely smart. She could always stay in her sports and call out MMA fighters, and that would be an automatic pay-per-view, man. Automatic pay-per-view. Clarissa southpaw, and then she understands She understands the sports to the point that her defense is amazing, and her technique to place boxing techniques attacks differently. She do it through, and every time she competes, she shine through, and she understands that bringing MMA fighters to her house.
Yep.
That's a way to handle business.
Hey, training with Holly Holm, you know, Greg Jackson and all that. That's awesome. You know, it's a great spot to be. But Clarissa, you know, Clarissa is awesome. Shields, I'm a big fan of hers. I'm rooting for her, but she called out Amanda Nunez to do a boxing match. Let's say Amanda Nunez calls out her to do a jiu-jitsu match. Which one's going to be more of a competition? Let's be honest.
I really have to be quiet, honest.
Yeah.
You know, for a couple minutes, it's gonna be not even competitive. You know, jiu-jitsu is a different sport that it takes a lot of precision to do what you do. You know, and she probably understands. She probably did a reality check with John Jones, and when they do like a small seminar of the rule sets, different techniques. I'm sure that Holly also could bring the calf kicks, how to understand the multi checks. What it means, what truly means a multi check.
Yeah, well,
everything was off the door. You know, everything was off the door when we talk about how technical could be a multi kick, how technical could be a setting up low singles. I believe I even talked to Jasmine, she was my student at the. She still is. You know, she come along with us every time because she's always a student of the sport, and she told me that from her casual fan point of view, she believed that Clarissa needed more time in the room to excel in wrestling, do the high single, get a single leg, do some wrestling shot, do the sprawl stuff, some takedowns, hire a multi coach and then kicks, place the hips inside, and do the knee, and all the four different systems that belongs to MMA beside having an amazing, because trust me that every commission that work with her, they are literally kissing her ass.
Well, I know we're kind of having a discussion about MMA and boxing and stuff like that, but like I'm excited for Clarissa Shields because it seems like she has the right attitude. Of course she needs time. It's going to take time. It takes years sometimes. You can learn a punch in a day, but it takes forever to learn armbar or a defense against armbar. It's a little bit of a slower learning curve unless you have a wrestling background or something, in my opinion, for jiu-jitsu. But she did. I saw her eyes open up when she said, the combos, in boxing, I just have, 2 arms, but now I got my legs and I can mix it in with my hands, and you can see how excited she was. So I think she has the right attitude. We'll see how it develops over the years. Hopefully it does.
I hope so, man. I don't even know how the situation is. You and I understand how prideful the wrestling was for Olympic athletes. Someone like Sarah McMahon, she never fell through in jiu-jitsu. She was, who the hell is going to teach a silver medalist in the Olympic Games? Who the hell is going to teach her how to do an armbar? She's the pride. She's been the prideful lady. So I don't understand how I need to wait, because I lean in more on the wrestling department. I need to be very careful with whatever I said about boxing, because I don't belong too deeply about spirituality on boxing. I'm into different systems.
Yeah, well, that being said, Juan, thank you for sharing on that. That's a great point. I'm glad it came up, actually. But I believe you want to talk a little bit about Ashley Yoder versus Angela Hill. Is that correct?
Is happening in the undercard of the UFC coming up. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, Yoder, she's amazing. She definitely understands the kickboxing aspect, transferring in MMA. The transparency that she brings to the table is something to think about. It, she definitely could bring some problems to Angela Hill. However, I still lean in Angela on her techniques on the wrestling department. She's very good, and she's a very methodical, very disciplined, dedicated. It's going to be a match that I believe both ladies are going to have her moment. They're going to have her moment to excel her their skills, and I believe it's going to be a draw.
Yeah, Ashley Yoder, we share the same last name. She's my sister. No relation, no relation. But I was kind of sharing with Juan earlier that, and this is, with all due respect, I'm a nobody, but I feel like if you remember the fighter Elvis Sinosik, for those hardcore fans, remember that guy. He was a guy that if they saw an up-and-comer fighter that they thought was going to maybe make a title shot or get a lot of views throughout their fighting career, they would put him in against them. They kind of didn't expect him to win, but they expected him to be good enough to test that fighter. And for that, they call it a gatekeeper, right? Gatekeeper to the division, and to kind of give them the experience in octagon. I feel like Ashley Yoder's that. Ashley Yoder is dangerous. I would like to see a Yoder win. Hey, but she's coming off a win against Miranda Granger, but she has 2 losses before that, then 2 wins and 2 losses. She actually has a loss already against Angela Hill. But so she's won 3 out of the 3, 4, 5, 6. She's won 3 out of the last 8 fights. So record 8-6. I wish her the best. I hope she does win. But Angela Hill, I think the UFC is pushing for her. A little background on Angela Hill. She's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. So, we'll see what happens. And then she has 3 wins before that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in this, but I don't know. Just kind of curious how it's going to go. So do you have a prediction, Juan, or you just want to give them a shout out?
The school doesn't have any money. The school doesn't have any money. Everything they do is through their business meeting with the UFC management. They set up skills, and they're gonna compete hard. And as I said, it's gonna be a different setup of style because they're getting up in age, and we're not gonna see them compete too longer. They're gonna be there for a few more matches, but I believe it's gonna just bring positive results. Don't sleep on them. Ashley Yoder and Angela Hill, wishing the best. They are the new generation of the female department, talking about each and every time different discipline. They excel in boxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, Jiu-Jitsu. They have it at their best, and they are hybrid fighters. And
Yeah.
for the safety of the sport, we need more undercards fight like this one.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I totally agree with you on that. And shout out to Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder. Been doing it, veterans, been doing it for a while. And to find the UFC, how cool is that? I've never fought in the UFC. How amazing is that? So all due respect to Angela Hill and Ashley Yoder and doing their thing. And I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. I think they're going to match, but I'm going to nod my hat towards Angela Hill. Sorry, Mr. Ashley Yoder, but I think Angela Hill might take this one.
All right, we'll see how it play out.
All right, now moving on. I guess Juan, you also this fight I don't know much about. A little bit you told me, but Andrea Lee versus Antonio Cervenko. Totally messed up the last name. Cervenko. Go ahead, Juan.
Man, I appreciate the chance to talk about it, man. You truly set up a new statement for me to tip my hat. And Andrea Hill, she is the blonde lady, competed the UFC. Her jiu-jitsu approach, it is a world-class jiu-jitsu. It reminds me when I was competing at the jiu-jitsu worlds, in the black belt bracket with the females, the speed, the athletics, the setup of the switching, the getting a good side control. set up the difference of the clinch, taking somebody's back and then set up the triangle, utilizing the simple grip. And then I always see her doing a few kimuras, and she precisely solid 3 points under the bottom of your feet, placing the heel, the index toe, and then the small toe, utilizing it. And she was doing it amazingly, solid, low, really below and under the belt, and getting the submission, more technical. She's definitely better in jiu-jitsu, and she could surprise. She could definitely shock the world by writing down a new statement and submit Shevchenko's sister, Antonio.
You said she's the older sister of Valentina Shevchenko. That's correct?
I believe she's a few years older. However, definitely you could bring a narrative if you Google up and we see the numbers right.
She is 36 and Valentina is 32. So yeah, older sister by a couple years. Yeah. Well, that being said, Juan, let's wrap this up. But I want to wrap it up with a question for you, Juan. I'm going to hit you hard. You haven't prepared for this. You don't know what question's coming, but say you meet someone on the street and they say, I don't know much about MMA. I know they fight in a cage. I don't know anything about the skills or anything. Can you recommend to me a fight where a MMA fight or UFC fight I could watch, or Pride or whatever, that will help me understand MMA in its full entirety?
It have to be Nick Diaz Takanori Gomi, Pride 33.
Nice, right off the top of the head. I like that. And why is that one?
It was Gomi was unstoppable at the time. No one figured it out before. No one had the formula to stop him. He was the Pride and only champion in the organization. And then on the contrary, people at Cesar Gracie Academy, they do boxing differently, like no prideful boxers, not really. If Nick get a punch in the face, he understands that he could always play guard. It's not like a prideful stance like Conor McGregor, like I'm gonna here to fight you, and then get one clean shot and then he get knocked the fuck out. However, Nick, when he competed against Mario Cerronsky, he got a left hook. He kind of see it coming before, and then understand what to do from a knockdown. And Mario Cerronsky knocked him down. KJ Noose knocked him down. Takanori Gomi knocked him down. However, he always see the difference and find a different strategy to get away with a result that he was working for a different training camp for. The projection of the situation, it play out magnificent.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that question. A great answer. I think your answer is actually better than mine. Mine, I haven't watched this fight in years. It was back in 2007, but someone would meet me like, they're on the ground. What is it, wrestling? What? So I say, man, what's a fight where they're up, down, in between? And Clay Guida versus Tyson Griffin, if you remember Tyson Griffin, great wrestler out of California. But their fight was just so up and down, up and down. I used to recommend that to people that had no idea what MMA was, so they could see that it's a full game. Although that fight's only 3 rounds, split decision. But Clay Guida getting actually Tyson Griffin getting the win on that one. That fight, to me, I recommend that one totally to people that don't know MMA.
Yeah, I remember, man, when people train for fights like high magnitude, the nutrition facts have to be on point, because we're cutting weight, we're making sure we're making the weight for the competition. So utilizing like a dozen of apples, a dozen of pears, a dozen of different fruits, cherries, and your guts get strong, digest well, and then show up and fight, and do your job and you made your professional debut and you could work with whatever you make of it. For the safety of the fighters, it affects everyone different.
Great. Juan, can I also ask you, for someone watching who is getting into MMA, maybe they're young and they're having the first fight come up, any advice you would get them with more of the mental strategy going into the fight, how they need to think, what kind of person does it take to walk into a fight in an MMA fight?
Wow. Understand the true ethics code. First of all, understand the true ethics code and making sure that you see that with coaches and understand what you're walking into. You know, sign the contract, see the numbers, and signature. Simple. You know, read and bring. You always set up the challenge. You know, the competitive standpoint. Whenever you're ready to set the statement, write down the statement as well.
Yeah, I remember a piece of advice you gave me before my jiu-jitsu tournament because I was trying to be respectful and sometimes I'm bad at being respectful. You know, I mean well, but sometimes I'm rough on the edges. And I remember I asked you, I said, because I was fighting another guy from, he was in the Gracie family. I forget where he trained out of, but for my first match. And I'm usually, you know, I've played football and stuff, and you talk shit, you get aggressive. And but I didn't want to be disrespectful. So because the MMA community is small and they'll catch up to you. But you said, you know, be respectful and everything, but inside your head, be like, fuck you, let's do this, you know, like, and I always remember that. So inside the head, you know, just be intense, but kind of funny. But well, Juan, that's all the questions I have for you. And anything else you'd like to add to this episode 10, Juan?
Hey, make sure I get some digging. And it is always great to chop it up with you, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Juan. And it's always great to tap into your huge jiu-jitsu, MMA, wrestling, all that intellect. And awesome talking with you. This is Under the Radar MMA with Jay Yoder out of Lindsay, California, and Cesar Gracie black belt with over 100 fights of jiu-jitsu. Juan Nunez out of Caracas, Venezuela. This is Under the Radar episode number 10. Till next time, we're out.